Welcome to HD Rare Coins, your ultimate source for rare coins, fascinating history, and the thrill of discovery. From legendary pennies to hidden gems, we explore the world of numismatics one amazing coin at a time. The year 1964 weighed heavily on the United States. The country stood at the crossroads of social upheaval, with the civil rights movement challenging long-standing injustices and the shadow of the Cold War influencing every aspect of American life. Against this turbulent backdrop, something seemingly mundane was taking place in Denver, the striking of millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels. The mint pressed them with efficiency, sending them into circulation for everyday use, coins that would jingle in pockets, buy a cup of coffee, or rest forgotten in drawers. Few could have imagined that amid the flood of these coins, a quiet imperfection would slip through, destined to be overlooked by nearly all who touched it. The Jefferson nickel had already been part of American life since 1938, a proud replacement of the Buffalo nickel. Its obverse bore the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson, stoic and timeless, facing left, while the reverse depicted Monticello, his stately Virginia home. By 1964, the design was deeply embedded in the American psyche, so familiar that it was rarely studied closely by ordinary citizens. But this particular year, minting practices carried a sense of urgency. Coin shortages had begun to rattle the economy, forcing the U.S. Mint to ramp up production in both Philadelphia and Denver. The Denver Mint, marked by the small d below the date, worked tirelessly to churn out nickels at an extraordinary pace, each strike meant to alleviate the strain. Under such pressures, precision sometimes gave way to haste, and in that fragile space between speed and perfection, mistakes found room to live. For years, these coins circulated freely. Cash registers counted them, soda machines swallowed them, and no one paid attention to the faintest quirks etched into their surfaces. A small misalignment here, a doubled image there, imperfections that seemed invisible in daily life but whispered significance to those who knew how to listen. It was among collectors, years later, that the whispers grew into voices. They began to notice unusual strikes, dates that appeared doubled, mint marks that looked repunched, design elements faintly offset. Something had gone awry in Denver's production lines in 1964, and the proof of it lay hidden in plain sight. One collector, a quiet man with a patient eye, recalled the moment his fingers closed around an unassuming nickel in a roll purchased from a bank. He turned it over casually, expecting nothing more than the dull gleam of ordinary change. Yet his eye caught on the date, 1964, and beneath it, the small d mint mark looked strange. Not once, but twice, it seemed to announce its presence, overlapping faintly in a way the naked eye could miss if not careful. He tilted the coin under the light, and the doubling revealed itself fully, like a secret message etched into metal. His heart raced. Could it be? He had read of such anomalies but never expected to find one himself. For a moment, the room felt heavier, as though history itself had leaned closer to see what he held. The discovery sparked an obsession. He scoured more rolls, hunting relentlessly for others like it. Each new find fueled a sense of wonder, but also raised questions. Why had these doubled mint marks escaped detection? How many could exist? He compared his coin to others, tracing the faint distortions along the edges of Jefferson's portrait, the subtle blurring in the numerals of the date. The Denver Mint, under its hurried output, had left behind small inconsistencies that now stood as beacons to those who knew where to look. The collector's notebook filled with sketches, notes, and magnified observations, his quiet journey unfolding not as a mere hobby but as a pursuit bordering on obsession. Word of such finds spread slowly at first. Collectors whispered to one another at coin shows, trading glances and quietly passing nickels across tables. At auctions, what began as modest bidding wars grew heated as more enthusiasts recognized the rarity of these errors. Prices edged upward, then leapt in sudden spikes. A coin once worth no more than 5 cents began to command dollars, then tens, then hundreds. The market stirred with rumors of extraordinary finds, specimens in pristine condition with errors so bold they seemed intentional. With each sale, the sense of mystery deepened. Was the Denver Mint aware of these slips, or had they passed unnoticed even within the walls of the institution that birthed them? The value of the coin evolved like a living thing. In the 1970s, collectors paid small premiums, seeing it as a curiosity. By the 1980s, the recognition of doubled mint marks and other striking errors gave them a more respected place within numismatic circles. Prices climbed steadily, reflecting both the growing rarity of well-preserved specimens and the increasing appetite for error coins in general. By the 1990s, when the market for rare coins surged with renewed interest, the 1964 D nickels with dramatic errors began to fetch hundreds of dollars, and in some cases far more, depending on their condition and the visibility of the flaw. The ordinary had been transformed into the extraordinary, and the transformation carried a quiet power, the realization that mistakes could sometimes be more valuable than perfection, yet the most remarkable twist lay not in the doubling of mint marks alone. Some coins displayed strange die cracks that ran across Jefferson's portrait, thin lightning-like lines etched into the nickel's surface. Others showed weak strikes, where Monticello's pillars blurred into shadow, as if the building itself were dissolving. A few revealed even more unusual errors, off-center strikes that shifted Jefferson's face precariously close to the rim, creating a skewed, unsettling image. Each anomaly told a different story, and collectors debated fiercely about which carried the greatest significance. The diversity of these mistakes meant that the 1964 D nickel was not merely a single error coin but a series of mysteries bound by 1 year and 1 mint. The impact of these discoveries rippled through the numismatic community. Collectors began to view the year 1964 not simply as the final year of silver coinage for dimes, quarters, and half dollars, but as a year of secrets hidden in copper-nickel alloys as well. The Jefferson nickel, long overlooked in the shadow of silver series, suddenly commanded attention. Specialized guides were written, cataloging the varieties of errors, ranking them by rarity, and documenting the subtle markers that distinguished a common coin from a treasure. Auctioneers leaned heavily on these descriptions, their voices rising with suspense as bids escalated beyond expectations, and yet, the unexpected twist remained. For amid the excitement and rising values, a revelation surfaced that few anticipated. Some of the doubled mint marks on 1964 D nickels were not the product of accidental error but of intentional adjustment. Mint workers, in that era, were known to hand-punch mint marks onto dies. If the first impression was faint or misaligned, they might strike again, inadvertently creating the doubled appearance. What had seemed like chaotic mistakes were, in some cases, the fingerprints of human hands trying to correct imperfections. The rarity was real, but its origin carried a human story of effort, correction, and imperfection that collectors found strangely poetic. Each coin became not only a rarity but also a testament to the craftsmen who labored under pressure, leaving behind subtle marks of their presence. This revelation did not diminish the coin's allure, instead, it deepened it. Collectors now viewed the 1964 D nickels with errors as artifacts of a time when the mint straddled the line between mechanization and manual craftsmanship. Every doubled mint mark, every die crack, every off-center strike was a silent witness to that transitional era, a bridge between precision machinery and the imperfect human touch. The market responded not with skepticism but with reverence, as values continue to climb. Today, the 1964 D nickel with errors occupies a special place in collections across the world. Its story is not one of grandeur announced at birth but of quiet significance discovered slowly, through the patience of collectors who dared to look closer. From 5 cents to hundreds or even thousands of dollars in value, it embodies the journey of transformation, where a mistake becomes a treasure and the overlooked becomes unforgettable. Each specimen holds within it the weight of history, the fingerprints of mint workers, and the obsessive joy of collectors who uncovered its secrets one coin at a time, and so the 1964 D nickel remains, unassuming to the casual eye, yet extraordinary to those who know its story. It is a coin born of urgency, shaped by error, carried by history, and elevated by the passion of collectors who saw in it something more than metal. They saw a mystery worth unraveling, a rarity worth chasing, and a legacy that continues to ripple through numismatic circles, where even today, someone, somewhere, is turning over a nickel under the light, wondering if they too have stumbled upon a hidden treasure. The year was 1999, a time of transition and uncertainty, when the United States stood on the brink of a new millennium. It was the final chapter of a century that had seen war, prosperity, and rapid change. In the city of Denver, the hum of minting presses filled the air as millions of Jefferson nickels rolled off the line, bearing the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the stately Monticello on the reverse. To the naked eye, these coins seemed ordinary, just another year's output of an enduring design that had been in use since 1938. Few could have guessed that within this vast sea of coins, anomalies would emerge, errors so subtle yet so powerful they would capture the attention of collectors for decades to come. At first glance, a 1999 D nickel was nothing remarkable. Struck in copper-nickel, with a face value of only 5 cents, it circulated without ceremony in pockets, purses, and cash registers across America. Yet the Denver Mint, tasked with producing hundreds of millions of these coins, faced the immense pressure of speed and volume. In such conditions, even the most precise machines were vulnerable to imperfections. It was not until sharp-eyed individuals began examining their change more closely that they noticed peculiarities, odd misalignments, doubled features, faint impressions, and missing details that should not have been there. A whisper began among numismatists. Something unusual was hiding among the 1999 D. Nickels. One collector, meticulous and patient, spent long evenings sifting through rolls of nickels purchased from his local bank. To him, each coin was a fragment of history, a chance to discover what others had overlooked. As he slid one after another across the table, he paused. The light caught the coin differently, revealing a strange doubling in the lettering along the rim. The word seemed to echo, as though a shadow had been stamped just beside the original. He turned it carefully, heart quickening. This was no simple wear from circulation. It was something that had been born in the mint itself, a doubling of the die, preserved forever in metal. The realization was not immediate. At first, doubt crept in. Could this be mere damage, the kind inflicted by years of handling? But the consistency of the doubling, the precision with which the letters seemed mirrored, suggested otherwise. Under magnification, the truth unfolded. The Denver Mint, in its haste, had produced a coin struck by a misaligned or improperly prepared die. What should have been flawless uniformity became a fascinating accident, a slip that transformed an everyday nickel into an object of intrigue. The collector's excitement grew, for he knew that errors of this kind were often fleeting, corrected quickly, and thus existing in only small numbers. The spread of information was gradual, carried not by official announcements but by word of mouth among enthusiasts, by articles in coin journals, and by hushed conversations at trade shows. Each discovery added to the growing puzzle. Some coins bore striking doubling on the date, others on the inscriptions, while a few revealed faint distortions around Jefferson's eye, lending the portrait an almost ghost-like expression. The variety of errors within the same year and mint mark only deepened the fascination. For those who prized the unusual, the 1999 D. nickel became a treasure hunt. As the years passed, the value of these error nickels began to evolve. Initially, they circulated unnoticed, worth no more than their face value. A lucky child might have spent one at a candy store, unaware that they held a rarity. But once collectors identified the anomalies, demand began to rise. Prices crept upward, 5 cents became $1, then several. Auction houses began listing them, and bidding wars revealed just how much intrigue these small mistakes carried. Some specimens, pristine and untouched by circulation, fetched remarkable sums compared to their humble origins. Each sale added fuel to the story, raising the question, how high could the value climb for a coin born from imperfection? What made these errors particularly captivating was the tension between rarity and accessibility. Unlike ancient coins or gold pieces locked away in museums, the 1999 D. nickel could still be found by ordinary people. Anyone with the patience to search rolls or inspect pocket change stood a chance, however slim, of uncovering one. This democratic allure fueled the obsession, creating an atmosphere where stories of sudden discovery spread like wildfire. A retiree in the Midwest claimed to have found one in a grocery store. A young collector in California spotted another while sorting coins for a school project. Each tale added to the suspense, suggesting that hidden gems might still be out there, waiting in plain sight. The physical characteristics of the errors became a study in themselves. Doubling was the most discussed, where inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "E Pluribus Unum," appeared with ghost-like repetitions. Some coins exhibited die cracks, thin jagged lines snaking across the surface as if the metal itself had fractured under pressure. Others revealed partial strikes, where parts of the design were weak or missing, giving Jefferson's features an unfinished, almost haunting quality. These flaws, far from diminishing the coin's worth, enhanced it, for they told the story of imperfection in an institution built on precision. Every irregularity was a fingerprint of the mint's fallibility. The collector who first recognized the doubled die would later look back on that evening with a sense of destiny. For him, it was not just about the financial reward, though the coin's value had multiplied many times over. It was about the chase, the thrill of seeing what countless others had overlooked. He recalled the moment when, under the glare of a desk lamp, the doubling revealed itself like a secret whispered across time. That moment of recognition, of uncovering something hidden in plain sight, was more valuable than any price tag. And yet, as the coin's fame spread, its monetary value became impossible to ignore. In the numismatic world, trends often follow cycles, and the 1999 D-nickel was no exception. At times its prices soared, buoyed by media attention and the fervor of collectors. At other times, values dipped, as interest shifted to newer discoveries or more dramatic errors. But through it all, the coin retained its mystique. It was not just the doubling or the cracks or the partial strikes, it was the timing. The year 1999 carried its own symbolic weight, marking the twilight of one century and the dawn of another. The errors of that year seemed almost prophetic, as though the machinery of the mint itself had faltered in acknowledgement of the coming change. Then came a revelation that added an unexpected twist to the tale. Careful study revealed that not all the double dies were created equal. Some were far rarer than others, with specific markers that distinguished them. A particular die variety, known only to the most dedicated researchers, was identified as strikingly scarce. Coins bearing this variant showed an unusually bold doubling on the date, so pronounced it could be seen without magnification. The discovery of this die variety electrified the community, creating a hierarchy of rarity within an already rare series. What once seemed like a simple error now revealed layers of complexity, each tier commanding its own premium. Collectors who had thought themselves fortunate to possess a 1999 D-era nickel now examined their coins again with renewed intensity, hoping to discover that theirs belonged to the rarest class. Stories emerged of sudden windfalls when such coins appeared at auction, achieving prices that astonished even seasoned experts. The twist deepened the suspense. Not only did the 1999 D-nickel hold value as an error coin, but within its ranks lurked elite specimens that elevated the entire narrative. As time moved forward, the legend of the 1999 D-nickel solidified. It was no longer merely a coin or an error, it had become a symbol of chance, of the way tiny imperfections could transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. For those who searched tirelessly, each roll of nickels became a mystery box, each handful of change a potential discovery. And though millions of ordinary 1999 D-nickels still jingled through vending machines and laundromats, only a few carried the whispers of imperfection that marked them as special. The story of this coin endures not because it was flawless, but because it was flawed. It serves as a reminder that within the relentless march of machines, there is still room for human wonder. A simple misalignment, a doubled letter, a faint crack, these small slips became the threads of a larger story, one that continues to unfold with every collector who peers closely at the face of Jefferson and wonders what secrets might still lie hidden in the metal of 1999.